you guys doing today? We'll come with another video. It's autotips.ca. Today we're going to be talking about safety inspection because it's very important. Whenever you buy a new car or a used car, you got to make sure the car is safe. Here in Ontario, we have this safety instruction book. These are just a summary of the stuff that need to be checked. Body work, ball joints, because a lot of people think safety is just the brakes and so. So you got to make sure everything is functioning good. Today we're going to do a demo of that, what it takes for a car to be safety, and follow us. Let's see this. Okay, so we're going to start with the battery here. So the battery has a hold down, so you got to make sure the battery is nice and tight. As you can see, this battery is tight. Connection is nice and firm. Then you come down here, you look at your serpentine belt. This is the belt that runs your alternator. Some cars it runs your water pump, power steering. So if this breaks or somehow gets cut, that means the car is not going to be functioning properly. So over here you got this, and then you got here you got an engine mounts. So whenever you shift, if you're hitting like a clunk, whenever you shift reverse or drive, you more likely have one of those engine mounts are worn out. Now we're going to lift it up and see underneath what it looks like. So when it's in this level, we're going to be making sure, first of all, you got to make sure the car is in neutral, because that way everything is loose. You can be able to move the tire back and forth. So whenever we check in the front end plate, you can go to check inner tie rod, outer tie rod, ball joint, and a wheel bearing. You spin it a little bit, make sure there's no any binding on the tire. When you come down here, you do the same thing. You check the plate, you spin the tire. This looks good. We still got to check it when we lift it up, but just got to do the same thing here. You check them for the wheel bearing. As you can see, this is solid. Just the brakes probably was sitting for a long time. That's why you hear the sound. You come on this side, the same thing. You check for play. It's solid. It looks good. I'm gonna lift it up now. So what we were checking on when we were doing the play was for these. So this is the control arm. Because, you could buy a car for $2,000, but then if you're gonna spend $2,000 to get a safety, now the car is worth $4,000. So you gotta make sure you pre-inspect it before you buy the car, or at least ask for safety. So we're looking at the control arm here. It looks good. And we come down here and make sure the bushing, there's no play. So this looks okay over here. And down here you got the sway bar link. There's no play in here. Then down here, the same thing. You put your bar here, so it looks good. You check the sway bar length. And the main thing is the frame here. So when you look at this frame here, this is all rotted, like you can see here, right? So this is, this car won't pass safety because of this frame. See here, this is all rotted here. We'll show you guys what would happen if this thing breaks. So I actually had another car that we had to do today. So definitely this frame needs to be replaced. So if you bought this car, let's say for $3,000, now you got to replace the frame. Automatically the frame is about $1,000. If you're lucky, you can get it for $1,000. So you're looking at least $3,000 safety on this car. So you got to make sure, see this frame is all rotted. Some manufacturers, they cover the frame if it's under recall. But on this one here, this car is too old. So you can see the frame is just rotted. Like I could just, you know what I mean? So it's definitely needs a frame. That's why it's a good idea to make sure you get the car inspected, or at least get it pre-inspected before you put the deposit on it. Underneath the car, I'm looking down here, your brake lines, fuel lines, they look all good. Exhaust system is all tight. Fuel tank, luckily it's a plastic, so it won't rust. So you can see here the sway bar link just hanging for the rear sway bar link. This is broke, so definitely needs a rear sway bar link. I mean, this is minor stuff, but it's good to have it because it adds up on the bill. So this usually is supposed to go down here, up on this thing, but it broke off from here, you know, that's where it's supposed to take, up here. So it needs a rear sway bar link, that's part of safety. You're looking here at the lower control arm, check the bushing, if there's any play. This looks good. You got here the trailer arm bushings, this looks okay. This is all good. So if you have a trusted mechanic, you can always take it to them, get it pre-inspected before you purchase the car. So you see this is sway bar link, solid. So the other side is supposed to be the same like this, so this looks okay. And we come here, we check the same. The bushing, it looks good. Down here, no play. And you can tell this exhaust is good. Over here, this is just the exhaust clamp. It's all rotted, so you gotta replace that. All this is safety inspection for the province of Ontario, I guess, and more likely probably for all the other provinces too. So you got your evap here. So you gotta make sure all these hoses are properly tightened or they're not leaking, because if these are leaking, you're gonna have a check engine light. We did a video on an evap last week, so that's what it is. So you can check that video as well. It will give you a picture of what evap does and stuff. So that's what it is. You're looking at the muffler here. This muffler definitely is gonna need to be replaced down the road. For now, when we started, we didn't hear any noise or anything. The tires, you gotta check the tread depth on the tires. Looking at these tires, it looks pretty good, so it will definitely pass safety. Because everything adds up, right? So when you come down here, you look on the edge, you just go like that. Whenever there's rust, take a screwdriver. As you can tell here, somebody already patched it here. So this is actually a new patch they put in. I hope they did it the proper way, but you can see it's opening over here. So it looks a sloppy job. So usually if you want to do a job like this, you got to take the seats out, make sure it's, because the water goes through here, it's going to be really stink inside the car, because you're going to have all kind of stuff. It's not even safe because of all the bacteria might happen in there, you know. Because if you live in a rainy area, that's definitely got to check that. You come down here, this side the same thing. So always try to check it like that. It looks okay. So, but overall, the frame just did it for us here. So this frame definitely it need to be replaced, because the subframe, or K-frame they call this, is the one that like kind of carries pretty much all the front end. So if this goes, to show you guys what it looks like, because the whole engine can cave down. Okay, so I'm gonna bring it down and look at the tires. I'm gonna take the brakes and stuff like that. Whenever you're using air tools or working on cars, make sure you protect your eyes, your hands, your legs, whatever, you know, use the full protection. We're gonna take these out. So what we're looking at is here. First of all, you look at this rotor. It looks okay, like eyesight. We still gotta use some sort of measurement. And these are your brake pads. So for me, when I look at them, they look good. But if we're doing the actual safety, we got the tools here that we have to use. So what we gotta do is use one of these. So you put it here. You gotta zero it first. Yeah, it looks zero now. So you see this one is about 9.5. So you got to check that with the specs, you know, what it's supposed to be. The car that we're working on right now, it's a 2006 Nissan Altima. So from my experience of doing safety, definitely these rotors will pass safety. And then you got the pads down here. You can put your gauge in like that. I mean, this one is not totally accessible. If you can't, it's better just to take the pads out. But you can see, let me turn the micrometer this way. It's kind of tough to get to, you know. But definitely the pads, they look brand new, but like I said, it's always good to get it checked. So this is about 0.4, which is okay. These are on the brake pads. Other than that, you look at the spring up here. The spring is not broken, or the shocks are not like sagging down, so it looks okay. And then you have your brake flex holes here. These ones here, they flex a lot, so you got to make sure there's not cracks in there, because usually the brake fluid, they're not supposed to go down. If your brake pads goes low, or if you have a leak, that's the only time your brake fluid will go low. So if your brake fluid is low, definitely you can't ignore that. You have to make sure you get it checked out. If your brake pads are low, or if you have a leaking brake line or a caliper, this is your brake caliper here, and these are called the rotors, and these are the brake pads inside. And then you have your brake flex holes here. This is your ABS line, so you got to make sure ABS is part of the system as well. We're gonna get to that once we lower the car down, to show you guys how you could tell if the ABS is not functioning. Usually you get like a ABS warning light on the dash, but definitely you have to check that. When the car was down, we could have showed you the sensor, but it's all good. Well, when you turn the ignition on, you get those lights here. So if you got that ABS light over there. Yeah. If you get that sign for the ABS, that means you got an issue with that. Actually now in Ontario, if you got any lights on the dash, it could be airbag, it could be ABS, steering issues, that's part of safety. So you got to make sure all that is taken care of before you get your safety certificate. We're going to check the lights, make sure all the lights working, your tail lights, brake lights, because you got to make sure people know if you're making left or right, you know. So that's the reverse. I see the front signal lights are working. Yeah. Make sure the car only can start in park or neutral. So you put the car on park, on reverse, and try to see if you can start it. They want to start. You go on drive, make sure it starts. No. So that shows you like the safety neutral switch is good. To check door hinges. I mean, it's like I said, it's a lot of process to do safety. Usually takes, like with the paperwork and stuff, over 2 hours. So it's always good when you're buying an older car. The price might be cheap, but to put it on the road, if it's gonna cost you over 2,000, you gotta include that in the budget. So at least you know what you're getting into. Anyways, keep supporting autotips.ca. We're gonna bring you guys fresh videos every week. And click the button, subscribe. It won't cost you anything. Only knowledge that you might be familiar with your car. That's what we're trying to do. And we, like I said, if you have any videos, any issues that you want us to discuss, we're definitely gonna include it in the next video. So don't be shy to reach us. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube. You can go to the website, leave us a comments. I appreciate it. Thank you.